Hey guys, this is Amy and welcome to Become Your Own Favorite Chef. I am super excited because we're about 3 weeks out from my ultimate favorite holiday, Thanksgiving. I've grown up loving Thanksgiving because it's full of family and the most delicious food. So particularly the most delicious food is my mama's cornbread dressing. She makes the absolute best dressing, and I am a dressing connoisseur. I've tried them all, and there's no dressing that's not as moist, yet not mushy, as flavorful, and just as decadently perfect as my mama's cornbread dressing. Now, she's not around anymore to make it for us, but the craving for her dressing lives on, and so we make it as part of the family Thanksgiving meal every year. And even though I had to pry the recipe out of my aunt's hand, I did get my hands on it, and knowing me, I had to give it a couple little tweaks just to make it a little bit more Amy style. And now I feel like we've got the perfect dressing, and I'm going to share that with you today. So what I would like you guys to do is wash your hands and follow these steps. Okay, if you made it through all those steps, you made it through the hard part, I promise. Let's assemble this and put it together. First off, I've got my big, huge bowl, with the biggest bowl you can find, of my shredded up cornbread and white bread. Make sure the cornbread is just a plain sweet cornbread. A couple boxes of that like Jiffy mix is perfect for this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And you'll see it's mostly cornbread in here. A little bit of white bread to help. We're going to add our sauteed 3 yellow onions and big celery heart, and our 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And believe it or not, I think this will fit. Knock on wood. We'll see. We're going to add some more moistness and some more flavor. So let's do flavor first. We are going to add 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. This just gives it a really good chicken flavor, even though we are going to add some chicken to it as well. So 2 teaspoons there should do it. And every good dressing needs sage. Now, if you use fresh sage, I wouldn't use quite as much as I'm using of dried sage. Dried sage is really strong, but I love sage. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. If you don't love sage as much, you don't have to put as much. And if you like another herb, you can certainly feel free to switch it out. Now that's going to be good flavor. In fact, let's add a little more salt and pepper. We added just a pinch of salt and pepper when we were sauteing the vegetables, but I want to add a little more. Keep everything nice and flavorful as we go. Like my little wolf salt and pepper shakers. It's supposed to look like my Malibu. Alright, for more flavor, but mostly for a great texture, we are going to grab a spoon, and then we are going to empty out 2 cans of condensed cream of chicken soup. You need 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. If you don't like mushrooms, it's not going to taste like mushrooms. It just kind of gives it a little more depth of flavor. But feel free to just use another cream of chicken. And finally, we we need, and these, I'm sorry, are 10.5 ounce cans. We need a cream of celery. All right. Yeah, I don't know if this is all gonna fit. We shall see. Next up, we're going to add an unknown amount of chicken broth. Now, if you boiled your own chicken, you would have your own chicken broth, but I just bought some low sodium chicken broth. Keep the salt controlled. And I know we're at least going to use one of these cartons, and these are 32 ounces. But just depending on how dry your bread was and some other factors, it might vary. So we're looking for a particular texture. I'll show you that texture when we get to it. Next, fun thing is stir this up for a long time until everything's mixed up. While this is mushy, it's getting there. It's not quite as moist as we need it. We're going to end up cooking this for about 2.5 hours, which is part of the secret of that great texture. And so it really, really needs to be very liquidy so that it doesn't get dry. So I'm going to add another half or so of that. And I'm going to be very careful. Okay, this is the texture we're looking for. I'm not sure what else to call it, but it looks pretty disgusting. Looks like slop. Definitely unattractive at the moment. But we're going to add some eggs and some chicken to it in a moment. But this is the chance you have to safely taste for seasoning before we add our raw eggs. So grab another spoon and give it a taste. Okay, keep in mind, all the flavors are really going to blow up when they're cooking in the oven. So you're not going to taste a lot of sage yet, but that sage gets really strong. If you want to add more salt and pepper, which I think I do, add it now. Those measurements, we probably added a teaspoon of salt and pepper each, if I had to guess. And then the real secret, I believe, to the texture of this dressing is adding 10 eggs. All the other dressings I've tried making call for 2 or 3 eggs, but when you add 10 eggs like we're going to do, it's almost like it creates a souffle type texture. It's just perfect. So what I have here are 10 eggs that I've whisked up. We're going to add these in. Again, I'm going to stir until it's all very evenly distributed. In fact, let me go ahead and add my chicken too. This is the rotisserie chicken that we shredded earlier. Now, I'm not picky about the chicken. My grandma actually would boil her own chicken. Then she'd shred that. She'd even put some of the bones in here to give it that really good chicken flavor. And then she would use her own chicken stock. However, I find that these delicious rotisserie chickens that I can get at like Sam's Club or my grocery store that are already flavored, are already so moist and delicious, work so well to give this extra delicious flavor. And so I just go with the rotisserie. I mean, if I can't make it any better, why not pay $5 and have it done for you? But you can do whatever you prefer. This is probably the biggest mess of cornbread dressing you've ever seen, but as I explained earlier, I'll make a little bit of this tonight. I'll save some for actual Thanksgiving, and if there's any left over from that, I'll eat some more December. So I'm going to try my best at getting these into some containers, and then we'll stick them in the oven. So here's the amount of dressing that we made. It would probably feed an army. This one I'm going to save. I'm going to put this in the freezer. This dressing freezes perfectly. It tastes no different if you freeze it for a month or 2 and then cook it later. This one I'm eating tonight. So I'm going to stick this in the oven at 300 degrees for 2 hours. Then after 2 hours is up, I'm going to turn the degrees up to 350. I'm going to cover the top with foil so that the top does not burn and cook it for another 30 minutes. So I'm going to stick this in the oven, eat a snack, and then we'll see how delicious and gorgeous this looks in about 2.5 hours. All right, the moment I've been waiting for months and months. We have it done. It's finished. It's cooked. Again, I cooked this for 2 hours at 300. Then I pulled it out, put this loose sheet of aluminum foil over it, turned the heat up to 350, and cooked it another 30 minutes. It's been cooling for about 10 or so minutes, which is not enough, but I'm starving. I gotta dig in. So I want you to pay attention to this texture. Okay, look at this. Zoom in, Drew. Do you see this? The perfect dressing. Absolutely. Let's give it a taste. Oh my gosh, I missed this. Yeah, it's perfect. It's crunchy around the edges and on the top. Totally light and fluffy in the middle. The perfect texture for dressing. Very flavorful. So I hope you guys enjoy my Mama's dressing as much as I do. Thanks for watching.